Welcome back to Mrs. B Reads. We are working on The Canyon's Edge by Dusty Bowling. This is the at-home edition. My background looks different. I'm home in my own library. So we are on page 227, and this chapter is called Danielle. Danielle. The mirages are all around me. You know what a mirage is, right? Okay, when you think you're seeing something. I'm so thirsty, I can almost convince myself, tell myself they're really water, even though I also know that's impossible, that the desert is now tricking me, taunting me, teasing me with its terrible heat waves. Water. If only I were floating in the hot night with Danielle, our feet splashing outside our tubes, talking endlessly about boys and books and movies and makeup, and maybe what we want to do when we're older. Maybe I'll be a park ranger. Maybe Danielle will be a stylist. If I were there, I would drink the whole pool. If only that could happen again. That we could be there again, floating and talking and laughing and splashing. If only that hadn't stopped. How could I have let that stop? How could I? A wave of dizziness overcomes me, sends me stumbling toward the edge, and for a split second, I think I'll tumble right over it. Not sure where solidness ends and emptiness begins. I fall to the ground on my butt, only inches from the drop-off. I sit in the hot dirt and wait for the dizziness to pass, my sunburned face in my mangled hands. If Danielle would ever be my friend again, I'd have nothing left to give her now, nothing but skin burned, torn, and pierced with thorns, nothing but hair chopped, tattered, and matted with mud. Nothing but this thirst, overwhelming, overpowering, overtaking me. I know she wouldn't ask for more than that. She never ever asked for anything but me. Truth. Danielle sits on my bed in my room, squeezing one of my pillows to her chest, tears running down her glistening brown cheeks. I don't know how to help you, Nora. You can't. I want to help you. You can't. I'm trying to understand. You can't. I scream at her over and over again, my eyes clenched shut, hands clamped over my ears. I hate her right now. She loves me, and I hate her, because she can't understand, because it happened to me and not her. And so I scream, you can't, go away, go away, go away. I scream it long enough that when I finally stop and open my eyes, she's gone. And when she calls later that day, I don't answer. When she calls the next day, I don't answer. When she calls the day after that, I don't answer. Danielle chose to leave my life because it was the only choice I gave her. Liminal space. If you don't know what liminal space is, go and Google it. Liminal space. Time between what was and whatever might come next is liminal space. What kind of poem is this? Haiku. In between. After it happened, I thought everyone would be impacted, altered, changed forever. But everyone else was exactly the same. Dad and I were the only ones who were impacted, altered, changed forever. I didn't know what to do, how to act, who to be in the in-between space of what was and what might be. I only knew for sure what would never be again. Come back. I force myself up. I continue walking. I move forward. Eleanor, sometimes people who have experienced a traumatic event come back even more resilient than they were before. There's no excuse for giving up. I have to keep trying. Even when I once more veer towards the edge, even when my knees begin to buckle, even when the black spots dance in my eyes, I have to never stop trying. I can come back from this. I want to live, and I want Dad to live. The clouds are moving in. Oh boy. The desert sky growing ever darker, giving me some relief from the burning sun. I'm grateful for every cloud. The refreshing smell of creosote suddenly fills the air and my lungs. It gives me the tiniest boost, clears my clogged mind, drains an ounce of lead from my legs. It's raining again. Not here, not over me, somewhere. But even if it didn't rain for a very long time, the creosote bush would survive. It can live up to 2 years without water. The creosote drops its leaves. It may even drop its branches, but it keeps what it needs in the root crown so it can come back. I've shed leaves. I've even torn away branches, but I still have what I need in my root crown, and so I can come back. I've survived this last year. I've gone half as long as a creosote bush. I can go another year, but I want this year to be different. I don't want to survive the next year as I did the last year. I want to live the next year. I can come back. Wonderstruck. The afternoon sun pauses all movement, making the desert still and vast and quiet around me while I walk. I have to tell myself to keep putting one foot in front of the other, even when the only thought in my mind is to lie down somewhere, curl up under a tree, and sleep forever. I have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And then I'm stopped. My legs and my heart. Oh boy. An animal stands at the edge of the canyon, looking down into it. It turns its face to me. My heart resumes pounding as I try to make out what it is through sanded, sun-scorched eyes. Mountain lion? Coyote? Bobcat? It can probably sense that I'm weak, nearing my end, unable to fight back. But it only stands there as still as I am. I focus my eyes as well as I can, too small for a mountain lion. Looks like a coyote, but reddish legs and underside, white throat, long bushy tail with a black tip, sun glowing pink through its pointy triangular ears. A fox. I stay as still as possible, no longer scared, but because I don't want to scare it away. It tilts its head at me, watches me with curiosity, with wariness. It doesn't seem to understand what I am. The desert surrounding us is as still and vast and quiet as my mind, and I am wonderstruck to see a fox in the desert. Do you remember she was talking to her dad about this way back in the beginning of the book? She asked him the animals he saw and asked if he had ever seen a fox. I wish Dad were here. I stretch out my hand, and that's all it takes to scare the fox away. But as though I somehow summoned Dad with the power of my wishing, I look down into the canyon, and there he is. So close. I found him. I open my mouth to call out to him. Nothing but a rasp escapes because I screamed my voice away last night. He lies on his stomach, his head turned towards me, his eyes sealed shut with mud. Oh God. His clothing torn to shreds, his skin burned and sanded off, his hair patchy and matted with mud and blood, his left arm contorted strangely behind him, his backpack still on and in one piece. I found him. Finally, I've reached him. He's so close I could stretch out a hand and nearly touch him, washed up on a ledge about 5 feet below me. No, not washed up. I see the trail of handprints and boot prints and streaks of mud and blood where he dragged himself up a series of outcroppings until he reached this ledge just large enough to hold him. But with his injured leg and his now twisted arm, I imagine he couldn't make the final 5 feet of flat wall. Or maybe he just collapsed onto his stomach, unable to breathe, his lungs filled with mud, unable to see, his eyes filled with mud. So very close. I just need to drop down to reach him, to reach his backpack. There's barely enough room for me, enough that I could drop down and not fall off the side if I'm careful. All I have to do is swing my legs down and drop the last few feet onto the ledge with him. He's so close, but I'm on the wrong side of the canyon. Don't forget to like and subscribe.